Yeah. Hare Krishna. Welcome to all of you. So we are already in the session 4 of Journey of Self-Discovery, right? So we have attended the first 3 sessions till now. What did we come across in the first session? Yes, we were trying to search for happiness, right? So we learned how the permanent solution can be got only by connecting to God. Right? In the second session, what did we see? We learned about the existence of God, right? In the second session, we also tried to In the second session, we also tried to see the proof for God's existence, right? And we saw two definitions of who is God, right? Right. So if you remember the two definitions, we will use that in today's class. Okay. Like we saw that God is the supreme proprietor, supreme controller, supreme enjoyer, and supreme source, right? And we also saw another definition of God, which is called Bhagavan, one who has 6 opulences, right? We'll use these two definitions today, so just keep in mind. And in the third session, we try to know who we are, right? Like, what did we get to know? Yes, that we are not this body, we are the spirit soul. And we have like a gross temporary body, we have a spiritual body, we also have a subtle body, right? Okay. Yeah. Today, yeah, we will start today's session. This is Sheetalangi Krishnapriya Devidasi, who will be today's speaker. Okay. So what is today's topic? Religion on trial, or it is mainly dealing with faith. Okay, here it says one God, many gods. Have this thought ever crossed your mind? Is there one God? Or is there more than one God? Or like at least in our faith? Okay, do you identify with some faith of yours? Do you identify? Yeah, like what is the faith you identify with? Religion, yeah, yeah. Hindu. Okay. Yeah. So basically, we are trying to identify with some faith. Here, yeah, Rajashri is identifying with Hindu, being a Hindu, right? So have you come across one God, many gods? Many gods? Yes. Okay, fine. So there might be different people identifying with different faith, right? So today we will try to understand if there is one God or if there are many gods, or if there are many gods, what is the issue? Or if there is only one God, then why do we have this kind of conflict? Because, my God is superior, your God is superior, right? Okay. Normally, uh, this topic has a lot of questions in when we come across in everyday life, right? Like this is like one of the most debated topics, like very controversial sometimes. Why is it so? They have not. They have not seen any proof. Okay. What is the other point you mentioned? Everyone has their own belief. Everyone has their own belief. Okay, could be. Yeah. What else? Like I'll tell you, in my childhood, no, like in my high school, I was very curious. Like, like, because I was curious on like various faiths, like everyone is practicing, because we were in a school where we have, children from different backgrounds. Somebody follows Christianity, somebody follows Islam, and there is some, Sikhism, people who follow Sikhism, and so many faiths, right? Like we also follow certain faith. So I always had this thought in my high school that I want to read, like, books on various religious faiths. So I can understand more about God from according to their understanding, because our understanding of God is it same with their understanding of God? If it is same, uh, then why do we have conflicts? Like, why do we say that my God is superior? No, your God is superior. So I had these thoughts in my high school. I was trying to get books on like different religion and read. Like this, we might have different experiences in our own journey. But today we'll see, according to the scriptures, what is the conclusion and more about this topic. Okay. Normally, like, many countries uh, have like one majority religion. Like most of the Islamic countries have Islam as their, main religion or something. And there are many countries where Christians are more. So you have many people following Christianity. In India, we are clubbed with so many religions. But of course, like we have people who identify with Hindu faith a lot more than other faiths, right? But is the understanding of even so-called Hinduism the same across India? What is different? Very interesting, no? Like so many people in sorry, East. Yeah. So you see people having faith in Lord Shiva, then you have faith in Lord Vishnu, or then Lord Goddess Durga. So we have so many people identifying with so many gods, and then everybody's understanding of God is so different. But why? Okay, we'll try to see. We see this picture. What do we see this picture of? This is a sun, right? Like, is sun called by only sun? Names called sun? No, right? Like in some language it is called sun. Like in different languages it is called by a different name. But am I addressing the same sun? Sure. Like if I call Suraj, is it the same sun? If I call Ravi, is it the same sun? Like if somebody in French calls Soleil or something, then is it the same sun we are referring to? Yeah? Sure? Yeah. Yamuna, do you have a nickname? Nikki. Okay. If I call you Nikki, am I addressing the same person? Yes? Rajshri, do you have a nickname? Raji. If I am calling you Raji, am I addressing the same person? Yeah? Okay. So now, this thing of so many gods, if we consider this example, that everybody is addressing sun by their convenience, right? Okay, they are addressing the same sun, right? Okay. So we understand here that there is only one God, but with different names. Okay. For example, some might call, address God as Yehovah, which means all powerful. Somebody is addressing God as Allah. Allah means all merciful. Okay. What is happening here? Every time we are addressing God, what is happening? We are addressing to some aspect of the Lord, right? Like some address the Lord as Krishna. What does Krishna mean? All attractive. Yes. Am I addressing the same God? Yes. Yes. If I call God as Rama, What does Rama mean? Sweet. Sweet. One who gives pleasure to the senses. Okay. So we are addressing the same God with different names, right? But does that mean if I'm calling Lord as Rama, that the all the other names are not valid? No, right? I'm just focusing on one aspect of the Lord. When I call Rama, I'm addressing to that quality of the Lord, addressing to that aspect of the Lord, right? Now we have this like common question, right? Like, okay, we say that we have only one God and he is called by different names. Then why do we have so many religions? And we not just have so many religions, we have so many scriptures, right? But why? Can you think? Different kind of people, different scriptures may attract. For different kind of people, different type of scriptures may attract. Valid. Okay. See, like some of the prominent religions we know are like Hinduism. We'll come to the word Hindu, okay, just a little later. But yeah. Islam, yeah. Sikhism, yeah. Jainism, Christianity, very prominent religions, yeah. Like we know that Sikhism, it came around like 600 years ago. Islam came around like 1300 years ago. Christianity maybe around 2000 years ago. When Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, it was around 5000 years ago. But does that mean there was no form of religion earlier? Or there was no form of connecting to God earlier? Like normally, most of the scriptures, when somebody is promoting their scriptures, what do they say? This is like, this is the perfect and the only method, and you should just follow this. Because if you don't follow this, you'll not go to heaven, or like you'll go to hell. For example, if I take, somebody preaching from Christianity, if I accept this, logic of theirs, before 2000 years, what happened to all those people? Because Jesus Christ came and preached Christianity just 2000 years ago, right? So, what happened to all those people before that? Did they go to hell or did they go to heaven? Or there was no hell and heaven before that? How does that sound? Does that sound logical? No, right? There should have been some form, right? What do you think? Okay. Um, online each scripture each scripture describes. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, we'll come to that about why there are so many scriptures and why there are so many religions. Meanwhile, while I address that, Dia's question will be answered. Normally, when I went to my first standard, I was just taught like basic numbers and addition and subtraction. Okay, that's all I was taught. For me, at that point of time, 2 minus 1 existed, 1 minus 2 did not exist. Okay, understandable? True, no? Like 2 minus 1 is 1. What is 1 minus 2? 1. Right? You know. As a first standard student, I did not know. Right? It was not valid. How can it even be possible? This person doesn't know anything. Okay. As a first standard student, that is my understanding. Am I wrong? No. As a first standard student, I'm not wrong. But is that reality? No. Right? Okay. Coming to fifth standard, sixth standard. Now, 1 minus 2 existed. Why? Because I got to know about integers a little more in, more in mathematics. So 1 minus 2 existed. But in fifth, sixth standard, this, if somebody asked me what is sine 90, could I tell what is sine 90? I'm like, what is that? That is not mathematics, right? That's not mathematics. At fifth standard, I will tell you that if you tell me what is sine 90, that is not mathematics, right? But again, if you go to higher classes, does sine 90 exist? It exists, right? So similarly, what is happening here? According to our capacity, our knowledge, and how much is our understanding capacity. According to that, my teacher is teaching me the subject, right? Like I have a syllabus for first standard, I have a syllabus for fifth standard, I have a syllabus for 10th standard, I have a syllabus for college, I have a syllabus for PhD, which is different from everything. A PhD teacher can teach the first standard student, but when he is teaching the first standard student, does that mean he doesn't know more than that? He knows, but he is teaching because that first standard student cannot understand what is algebra, what is trigonometry, but he can understand numbers. So he is teaching only that, right? Similarly, like when we see great teachers who have taught, propagated different religions across the world, like for example, say, Jesus Christ. When he was, preaching to that set of people, he was mainly preaching to the fishermen community. Okay. And what was their level of understanding? See, it was pretty low. So he taught some basic principles of how they can worship Lord, right? And he gave them some regulations, like meat eating was allowed, but barring few days, right? Apart from that, like for example, one of the things he mentions is like, "Oh men of less faith, I have a lot to give you, tell you, but you cannot take it now." What does this indicate? If you teach it first time student education, you don't give them. Exactly. What does that mean? That he was much more qualified, but the people he was teaching to were not ready to receive at that point of time. That is why he taught how much he taught, right? Like similarly, look what they did, to Jesus Christ. They crucified him, right? Like, the same people he was preaching to, they crucified him. If you take the example of Prophet Muhammad, when he was teaching, what kind of people was he teaching to? Nomadic people deserting, in deserts. Do you have like a lifestyle, standard of living and all there? Not really, right? Like, so there is, just imagine if something like this has to be mentioned in a scripture. What does it say? Thou shalt not have relation with your mother or sister. Not exact the lines, but meaning the same. When do you say something like this? Like if a person has basic civic sense, or like even like if even if he is just like basic human being, not like having a lot of animalistic propensities, then you don't have to say all this, right? Like this is something which is normally people, human beings would follow. But if he has to even explain this and tell, at least follow this much, right? Like don't have. So what kind of regulations did he give for those people? He said that, okay, meat eating is allowed. But, like say pork is not allowed, dog is not allowed. There are again some restrictions. What were they trying to do? They were trying to teach some level of worship along with some regulations to them so that they can elevate from where they are to the next step, right? So, but does that mean, people who were teaching uh, didn't know more about God? Not really. Also, like we'll try to see like some similarities between different religions. In You need some water? Like in Christianity, it says like, love God with all your soul. Like, love God. It's a common message in every, religion. Like, chanting the holy name. Like, in our scriptures, we know that, chanting the holy name is a very important aspect of worship, right? Like, similarly, even in Islam, there is like, 99 names of Allah that they chant. Or like, when you say Christian prayers, it says, Our Father in heaven, holy be thy name, right? Like, so this chanting the holy name is one of the, teachings which is common in most of the religions, right? Like, so for that matter, even in Sikhism. Like what was like till now, what we have seen that all the religions are mainly teaching, okay, love God, don't sin, go back to God. Right? Like these three things are like very common. Agree? Okay. Now coming to Arjuna's case. Now we saw that Jesus Christ was teaching to fishermen community. Prophet Muhammad was teaching to the nomadic people. But whom was Krishna teaching to? Arjuna. And who is Arjuna? Warrior, very qualified warrior. Does he have knowledge? Yes, right? And what kind of like personality does he have? Very high in character also. Okay. Just to give an example of how, just to represent Arjuna's knowledge and character, we'll just see one or two examples. Okay. Like in the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, when Arjuna says that I do not want to fight, and he states few reasons why he does not want to fight, right? And when you see those reasons, he's not just telling just emotionally. He is mentioning reasons with respect to Dharma Shastras. Okay. That means he has some knowledge of the Shastras, right? It's not like, he's a layman and just out of his whims and fancies he's telling, right? Like that means he has some knowledge. Actually, lot of knowledge. That's why, when you see, then Krishna speaks Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita mentions that Arjuna, I have given you all that I wanted to give. Like, there is nothing more. What does that mean? That Krishna has encompassed all that he wanted to tell to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita. That means the Bhagavad Gita has the complete knowledge, right? Unlike the other religious scriptures we just now saw, was designed for that set of people. But since Arjuna was like a very, very qualified person, Krishna could give the complete knowledge to Arjuna, right? Now we also saw that Arjuna was like a very high character, right? Once there is this one incident where Arjuna goes to the heavens, okay, and then he's witnessing, of course, like there is Indra and there is this dance performance happening, and he's looking at Urvashi, okay, and Indra thinks Arjuna is interested in Urvashi, so he sends Urvashi to Arjuna, okay. Now, when Urvashi goes and proposes Arjuna, Arjuna, immediately, explains to Urvashi saying that I was looking at you like my mother. Okay. And see, normally what happens is even in our temples, no, like if you go call like a 5-year-old or like, 10-year-old Mataji, then suddenly that kid is like, I'm not Mataji. Like that. Urvashi was like, she got offended. She's like, I'm not, mother and all. Because these Gandharvas and Devatas and all, for them, they are not into married life and Grahastha life. Though one of the ancestors of Arjuna had married Urvashi, so he was thinking in that line. Now, because Urvashi got offended, she cursed Arjuna, saying that you'll become a eunuch for 1 year. That's how Arjuna becomes Brihannala for 1 year in the Ajnatavasa of Mahabharata. Okay. Okay. Coming back to this, we were saying of how qualified Arjuna was. That is why Krishna was able to give the complete knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. Right? Now, we were saying that, we identify with the faith called Hindu, right? How did this word Hindu come in? Because it is not there in the entire Vedic scriptures. So if you ever thought that, we can call ourselves Hindus and it is somewhere because it is like very Shastric, it is not, okay? So where did this word Hindu come from? Is it linked to the history? Like they were not up to the. Correct, yes. So when the Mughals and many of these people were trying to cross, there was a river called Sindhu. They couldn't pronounce this word Sindhu, okay? So they were like trying to say it as Hindu. And the traction of land beside it, they called it like Hindustan. And the people belonging to that set of land as Hindus. So they popularly were called as. One minute. We'll try to understand now. Okay. Yeah. See, at the end of this session, you might have a lot of questions. Keep all your questions. We'll answer, try to address each one of it. Okay. Okay. So we just got to know the origin of the word Hindu, right? Like, and we identify with a faith called Sanatana Dharma. And we just now also understood that Sanatana means eternal. That, this is something which existed eternally. So it is not like, 2000 years ago, 5000 years ago, not like that. Now, also, what does dharma actually mean? Loosely, it can be translated like, as religion. But actually, there is no exact exact word translation in English for the word dharma. Because religion is very loosely told, but it exactly doesn't represent that word. We'll try to understand. One of the meanings we can say is like the constitutional position. We'll take one example. For example, sugar. Okay. What is dharma of sugar? Sweetness, right? Sweetness. Can you think of sugar which is sugarless or which does not, which is not sweet? Sorry. In meaning without sweet. Can you think of sugar without sweet? No. What about salt? Salt is salty. Can salt not be salty? No, right? So the dharma of sugar is sweet. Dharma of salt is being salty. You cannot think otherwise, right? Similarly, we are trying to understand what is the dharma of the soul. Okay. Now, when I talk about soul, now soul is not like Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Indian, Pakistani, Australian, American. No. Soul is, part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. And it does not have this kind of identification. Only our external body has this identification. Okay. Just a minute. Okay, we are back. Where were we? Body, external. Yeah. Soul, the soul is not Indian, Pakistani, American, Australian, Nigerian, nothing like that. It is also not, Hindu, Muslim, Christian, ऐसे भी नहीं है. Then what is it? Might take you to a risk. Yeah. Mhm. Okay. Yeah, sorry for that inconvenience. Yeah. Now, what question we were trying to address? Why are there so many scriptures? Why are there so many religions? And we also tried to understand what the soul aspect. Okay. Now, did we understand if there is one word, why there are many scriptures? Did we get that answer? Yeah. Now we also understood that Krishna mentioned to Arjuna that all that he wanted to teach Arjuna is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, right? What does that mean? The teachings of all the other scriptures also, mainly the essence of it, is also there in the Bhagavad Gita. Like, have you ever used a dictionary? Yeah, there is a pocket dictionary. There's a Badawala dictionary, Chambers dictionary, or the Oxford dictionary, whatever. Now, all the words of the smaller pocket edition is there in the bigger dictionary, right? Similarly, Bhagavad Gita has the essence of all the other scriptures as well. Uh, Now we know Vyasadev, who is. Have you heard Veda Vyas? Why is he known for? Yeah, for writing Mahabharata. Okay. What else? What mostly the Vedic scriptures? Yeah. So in simple words, he's the compiler of all the Vedas, and he's the literary incarnation of Krishna, who came and compiled all the Vedas in Vedic scriptures, the Itihasas, the Puranas, the Upanishads, everything. After he had written the Vedas and the Upanishads and the Puranas, to simplify it for common people, he also wrote the Mahabharata, of which the Bhagavad Gita is also a part. Okay. Now, after writing all these things, he was still not very satisfied. Though he mentioned that the essence of everything is mentioned in the Mahabharata. He says that. But then still he say, he was not very satisfied. And when he inquires from his guru, that is Narada Muni, Narada Muni actually explains to him that he has not directly glorified the Lord or taught about the Lord. Whatever he has mentioned is in a very indirect way. And then he recommends him to write Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, so that is how Bhagavad Purana or Srimad Bhagavatam comes into existence, which is talking mainly about glorification of love towards God, and relationship between devotees and Krishna, or let the Supreme Lord, right? Normally, when you go to, worship, or like when you go to, God to pray, we see that there are four types of people who go to God. Okay. I mean, like in four ways, they pray to God. One is out of fear. There are many religions, right, which say that, if you don't do this, you will go to hell. Have you heard this? Yeah. Don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. So much fear. Right? Little amount of fear is essential so that we follow some rules and regulations. But if somebody is worshipping only out of fear, is that nice thing? Don't feel good about it, right? What about, there is another, aspect of why people go to God. Very common with all of us, right? Like to receive something. Like, in India, so this is like the most popular one. Can you name them? Like you go to some temple, you pray here, you will definitely get this result. Have you heard? Yeah, like you do, 16 Somvar ka vrat, you will get a good husband. And in what else? Yeah, yeah. It's called Chilkur, okay? It is the outskirts of Hyderabad, and it's a Balaji temple. It is very famous because people who don't get US visa go and pray there. And when you do a mannat there, apparently you get US visa. Just imagine, why are you going to pray to God to get a visa? Anyways, I like, so many examples like this, right? Like, for example, Tirupati, there's so many people go and stand in line, ghanto lagenge, ek din, do din, and afterwards, when you go in front of the Lord, how much darshan do you get? Not even 30 seconds, right? And in that 30 seconds, what are people doing? What are they doing? Asking for something. No, the first thing they do is close their eyes. Have you seen? Like you're standing like ghanto lage rahenge, and you're standing there and you just see the Lord, and when just there, it's not just in Tirupati Balaji, everywhere. So much effort you put to go there, and then finally when you're in front of the Lord, you're like closing your eyes and doing praying that list of things you want. Right? Why? Because that mentality is there, ye jaake mangna hi hai sort of thing, right? No, she has. Okay. Can you sleep? It's okay. Is it okay? Yeah. In India, there is another, way of doing it, okay? Like we are very popular with this method, even with the politicians, so-called. You bribe and you get certain things done. Even with gods, they try this. 11 नारियल चढ़ाऊंगा, please let ये काम कर देना, sort of thing. Have you heard this? Yeah. What else? Chappan bhog. I'll prepare chappan bhog for you. Please grant me this wish. So this is like, some exchange offer going on with with the Lord. This is another way of worship. Okay. Third one. It's out of duty. Okay. Like, somebody, some people might feel grateful. Like, that, the Lord has given us already so much. So out of duty, they think it's our duty to pray to the Lord. So this is like the third method. Okay. This is much better than the first and the second, but still it's not the highest way to worship the Lord. Okay. So what is the highest way to worship? In what way we worship the Lord, that is the highest. With love. Okay. When you worship the Lord with love, all the other things does not exist here. That exchange offer, and then that fear, all those emotions are not here. Even duty is not here for that matter. Like, for example, if you see a small calf and its mother, you see a very loving relationship happening. Is it because the calf is getting milk from the mother, that is why it is going and cuddling it or something like that? No, it's a natural spontaneous relationship, right? Similarly, with God, we can have this relationship, which is the highest form of relationship. We'll understand a little more about it. But we should know that most of the religions, when we are talking about, fall in like the first two categories. Some also speak about duty towards God, but mostly the many religions we have spoken about till now speak about either reward or fear, that kind of relationship with God. Normally, now we can ask ourselves, what kind of relationship do I want to have with the Lord? Right? Based on that, you can follow that kind of scripture. Okay. Anyways, yeah. When I was talking about love, the two scriptures which recommend mainly, loving relationship with the Lord is, one is Bhagavad Gita, another is Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. We will try to understand more about it as we talk further. Bhagavatam doesn't even talk about duty. It talks only about love, love, love. Okay. It has, a loving relationship with, the devotees and the Lord. Okay. We saw a little about it in the previous classes, but we'll try to get a little clearer picture. Does God have a form? Yes or no? Yes. We also learned something else in the previous class. You can ask Sneha Mataji. What did we learn? Who were there in the previous classes? She was there. Yeah? Yamuna remembers? Okay, we spoke about, one is about, the form of God having a form. And we also heard about formless aspect of God, right? Example, we saw about the sun in the beginning of the class. Does sun have a form? Yes. Does sunshine have a form? No. No, right? Similarly, God also has a form and he also has a formless aspect to him. That is known as the Brahmajyoti. Okay, that is the effulgence coming from the Lord, right? Now, okay, we'll take one example. Okay, we had like one devotee who was traveling in the flight. Okay, and these devotees, no, dhoti, kurta, shika, and suddenly you can make out like this is a devotee like that. So he is sitting, and suddenly there's another person who's very curious to ask something to him. Okay, so he'll finally, he's like pouncing on him and asking. It's like, how can you pray to a God who has a form? And he turns around and like, so do you pray? The devotee asked the other person, do you pray to Lord? It's like, yes, yes, I pray 5 times a day. It's like, does God hear your prayers? It's like, of course he hears. Otherwise, why would I pray? Right? It's like, that means your God has ears. Yes, my God has ears. And he must have a face also, no? He's like, no, my God doesn't have a face. Does that make sense? According to him, God looks like this. Right? See, when we understand, no, that God has a form, it is not like a form like us. Okay. Previous class, Mataji taught us that, our body has gross body, subtle body, and a spirit soul. Do you all remember? Yeah. But the God's form is fully spiritual, both external and internal. It is spiritual. He doesn't have a temporary body like us, like, the external body. He doesn't have like that. Like, how do we understand this? For example, I have this bottle, okay? I have an external plastic, thing here. I have water inside, right? Like I have an external body and there is some source inside. Similarly, we have an external body and there is a spirit soul inside. Yeah. You'll have seen those sugar candies, like of shape of like, hathi, teddy bear, and so many other things. The sugar candies, which are made of like this thing. External form is could be of anything, but internally it is sugar, right? So that is how we have, form, right? Like that is how we understand uh, living entities have an external body and then there is a spirit. Okay. Now, who's that one God? We are talking there is only one God, and all that. The very important, discussion or part of the discussion for today is that, there is only one God. And we are saying that, what is our reference? We just now spoke that we will be referring to scriptures, right? Like mainly Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So according to that, we have only one God, that is Krishna, right? Okay. When we told Krishna is all attractive, that also means he's all merciful. We saw that, right? Like in the beginning, he has different names. There is all merciful form to it also, all powerful, form also. And there's all pleasing form also. So everything is encompassed in the Lord, right? So next, why do I accept Krishna as God? Is it because he is black? My mera favorite color black hai. Krishna is black, so I accept Krishna as God. Or rather, Krishna steals butter. Sometimes I also like to steal. Chalo, he is God. Suitable for me. I like to play flute. Krishna plays flute, so he is God. Very convenient, no? Does that work like that? Or rather, some boy might think, I like to flirt. Krishna also is so many with girls. I think it's suitable for me. Is it because, why we are telling Krishna is God? Right? We are accepting Krishna as God according to the authority of the scriptures, right? Like, so in the Brahma Samhita, Brahma says, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchid Ananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karana. Right? That Krishna is the Supreme Lord, who is the origin of everything, who is the cause of all causes, and he is that Govinda or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is what Brahma is saying in the Brahma Samhita, right? Now, if is it that, what about the other religions? Like when Jesus Christ came in, what did he say? He's the Son of God, right? Like when Prophet Muhammad came, what did he say? I'm the messenger or prophet of God, right? And even like say Guru Nanak and everybody, they mention that they are teacher. Nobody is coming and claiming that they are God, right? But because they are referring to the single God. Now we'll try to understand further of some proofs or some references from the scripture where Krishna is mentioned as God. Okay. Bhagavad Gita 7.4. In this verse, Krishna says that he is the source of everything. That is earth, water, air, fire, ether, mind, intelligence, ego. Right? Like all these elements emanate from him. He's the source for everything. I have this phone. What is this phone made of? Earth, water, air, fire, ether, fire, earthly elements. I'm a human being. What am I made of? Earth, water, air, fire, ether. But I have mind, intelligence, ego also. Right? Okay. So the next verse. Here Krishna says that he is the source of life itself. Okay. Now we were discussing that, human beings or the living entities have an external body and they have a spirit soul. Here Krishna is saying he is source for that spirit soul also. Okay. Got it? Okay. Now in the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, there is a verse where Krishna says that I am the source for all the demigods and the sages. You can note these verses, go and read, okay? So that you will have better understanding. Right? Now, Srimad Bhagavatam, in the first canto, third chapter, there are many different incarnations being spoken about. Okay, there are around 22 incarnations, which comes in the first 27 chapters here, and in the 28th chapter, Krishna is mentions that he is the source for all these avatars. Source for all the incarnations. Okay. Yes. Yeah, sorry. 28. Yeah, first 27 verses, there are 22 incarnations mentioned. And in the 28th verse, he says, I am the source for all incarnations. Okay, we'll see two episodes where Krishna actually shows that he is, he is God. Okay. Like this is the first picture. Can you relate to which pastime is this? When he eats one. Very nice. Right. Once what happens when Krishna is like playing with his, playmates, like they're very small kids, right? Like, you have Balram and other, kids and all. The other kids go and complain, okay? Krishna's friends go and complain to Yashodamai saying that Krishna is eating mud. Now, normally what is the parent's reaction when the child is eating mud? First you go and check, in the child's mouth, right? Like, so Yashodamai goes to Krishna. She's like, open your mouth. It's like, no, I'm not eating anything. It's like, no, open your mouth. And then Krishna shows this infinite space, and there are like multiple universes, planets, and so many things. And Yashodama is not able to understand what is the beginning, what is the end. But at the end, like she's able to see, seeing in the mouth of Krishna, inside the mouth of Krishna. It's like, so she's like, what is that? She's so amazed at what is happening. Right? So in the similar, another episode where Krishna shows that, he is Lord, is in the Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna is speaking to Arjuna, he displays his Virata Rupa. Okay. And this Virata Rupa has every single element of the entire material creation. Okay. Like, all the devatas, all the living entities, all the demons, asuras, take anything, it is there in that Virata Rupa. So Arjuna is like, he's not able to take that, Virata Rupa. He mentions it there in the Bhagavad Gita, right? So this is another place where Krishna depicts himself that, he's the Supreme Lord. Okay. Now we are talking about all these things. In the previous class, we had seen two definitions of God, right? Like just now we saw that, Krishna is the supreme, source, creator, proprietor, enjoyer. Okay. We also saw another definition that, one who is Bhagavan or the Lord should have six opulences in full, right? We had discussed in the previous class. We'll try to see if Krishna fits into this category or not. Okay. One is he should be all wealthy. Okay. So the whole world prays to Lakshmi Devi for wealth. Yes. Any money problem, please, go to Lakshmi Devi. Please, you do. People might miss so many other pujas. They'll not miss a Lakshmi puja because they're so interested that, paise to milne hi chahiye, right? So we have seen. So all the wealth in the material world is owned by Lakshmi Devi. Yes. But what is Lakshmi Devi normally doing? Serving her husband. Why? Because she's a chaste wife of her husband. And we also heard that Lakshmi is very chanchala, right? So she doesn't stay in a place where her husband is not there for long. So next time you think of worshipping Lakshmi Devi, worship with Lakshmi Narayana, otherwise she'll not stay for long. Okay. So the entire wealth in the material creation belongs to Lakshmi Devi, and Lakshmi Devi belongs to Narayana, right? So he is like the most wealthy person. So so the first thing is he's all wealthy, right? Second thing, he should be all powerful also. Now this pastime represents where Krishna is like a very little boy, and then he is lifting Govardhan hill on the left hand, on the little finger, right? To protect the Vrajvasis from Indra's wrath. Okay. Actually, uh, when Krishna is holding, it's a very little finger. It's not that he is putting in a lot of effort. Chalo, mera haath dukh raha hai and all that. He does that for 7 days and 7 nights together. And this shows his display of strength. It's not like he's getting tired. I'm holding this. It might look, light for me. But if I hold this like 7 days, 7 nights, mera haath, it'll go off, right? But it's not like that for Krishna. Okay. So this represents that he's all powerful. Next is beauty. Does Krishna fit in the category of all beautiful? It's like, does he own that beauty? Okay, we'll try to see. Like, in the material world, normally people are like categorizing themselves as what? The most beautiful woman is like the Miss Universe, Miss World, some all nice titles we have, right? So it is said that the most beautiful person on this earth, if the heavenly people in the Swarga Loka, if they look at the most beautiful person on earth, they look at they feel like they're like cockroaches. That's how it is, meaning to say in compared to beauty. Okay. And people in the spiritual world, when they see people in Swarga Loka, they feel like they're like frogs. Even the most beautiful person in Swarga looks like a frog for somebody in the spiritual world. Okay, in terms of beauty, I'm talking about. Okay. But in the spiritual world, everybody is very, very beautiful. Okay. And the most beautiful amongst them is Srimati Radharani. Okay. And when Srimati Radharani looks at Krishna, she's totally mesmerized. That's how beautiful Krishna is. Okay. And another pastime of Krishna. Okay. We have heard this Kamadev, uh, Cupid. Okay. So he thought I should capture Krishna with my, this, I should shoot, arrows of Cupid like that. And then he thinks he will go and shoot it. Suddenly he looks at Krishna and he'll faint. Okay, Kamadeva faints. That's why Krishna is also called as Madan Mohana. Okay. And here, all knowledgeable. When Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, was he thinking and sitting and preparing notes like, chalo, I have to speak the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, let's prepare for it. He spoke spontaneously for 45 minutes and he gave the entire knowledge to Arjuna, right? And till now, even after 5,000 years, there are like hundreds of people trying to write commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita and not understanding it fully, right? That's how Krishna's knowledge is like immeasurable. Okay. And then fame. Okay. Whatever Krishna does, he's famous. Good, bad, everything. Okay. He will steal a butter, he becomes a Makanchor. He runs away from the field, he becomes Ranchod. Imagine if I steal something, will I become famous? And then people will be like, chalo, they tell my name and Jai, Jai, Jai. No, but they say for Krishna, no? It's like whatever Krishna does, he becomes famous. And not that he's famous only on earth, okay? He's famous in all the universes, like not only on earth. He's famous in Swargaloka also, in the spiritual world also, in some other lokas also. He's famous everywhere. Somebody who is very famous here might not be famous in any other loka. They might not even know him. For example, in India, I mean, there was this one reporter who went and asked a tennis player about, opinion about Sachin Tendulkar. Okay. And that tennis player is a very popular tennis player. That person was like, no, I don't know about Sachin Tendulkar. And this reporter got offended. But the point is, that person is a tennis player. He doesn't have interest in cricket, or she doesn't have interest in cricket. So why will she know about it? Right? It's like that. So the next one is renunciation, right? Now, is Krishna the most renounced one? Like, for example, if I go and stand in front of a Tanishq showroom, okay? And I'm like, I renounce all this gold. Does that even sound? How does that sound? I renounce all this jewelry. Sab kuch. I should have it, no renounce, no? I don't have it only. How will I renounce? Somebody, to understand that how renounced Krishna is, we'll take some example, okay? When Yudhishthira Maharaj was doing Rajasuya Yajna, okay? Like, And everybody was given some, responsibility. Yeah. Like, Duryodhana is given responsibility of collecting gifts. And then Karna to do some charity. Bhima for, cooking in the kitchen. Like that, And Krishna takes this responsibility of collecting the footwear of, yeah, the people, and then washing the lotus feet. And then even he takes another responsibility of collecting the juta plates of the sadhus and sages. Now somebody who is like, now you go to Mukesh Ambani's house, is he collecting leaves and things of, people, his guests? He has 100 people to do it, right? But why is Krishna doing it? I mean, and it shows his humility, right? He is renounced, even in spite of owning everything. He's not acting like that. Another is like here, he's charioteer for Arjuna. What is a charioteer? Basically a chauffeur, right? Like a driver. If I'm the richest person in the world, will I go become a driver for somebody else? No, right? But here Krishna takes up this role, serve his, friend and devotee Arjuna. And here we should understand that it's not a very comfortable thing to do. Like when in the war, it is very difficult. And he is when Arjuna is telling directions to Krishna, he's not respectfully telling Krishna, please take left, please. You don't have so much time at all because one is they are fighting, their hands are engaged. Orally also they are telling mantras. So even then, their mouth is engaged. So they're either like he's almost kicking towards Krishna's right or left and then indicating directions. So he's taking all that from his friend and devotee and he's doing it happily. Now, this represents Krishna's renunciation also. So, Krishna fit. So, we saw that he fits into all the six opulences till now, right? If Krishna is supreme, what about the other demigods now? Like we just saw, right? Or like there are so many devatas, we have heard of so many. In India, though, it is like 33 crores, right? What about others? To understand where all the other devatas fall, we'll understand one more concept, okay? The four tattvas. Am I too fast? Maybe I'm too slow. Okay. The first, we told that we learn four tattva. I mean, like four tattvas we have to understand. One is Vishnu tattva. In this Vishnu tattva, all the incarnations of Vishnu fall in. Like, be it Rama, Vishnu, Narasimha, Vamana, Buddha, Kalki, etc. All the incarnations of Vishnu fall in this Vishnu tattva. Okay. This Vishnu tattva does not have a material body like us. It has only spiritual body. Like, externally, internally, only spiritual. Okay. Next is Shakti tattva. Shakti tattva is like the energy of the Lord, That is Srimati Radharani, Sita Devi, Mahalakshmi, or Lakshmi, Durga, all the others. Okay. These are Shakti tattvas. So just remember this, I'm going to ask you. Third is Shambhu tattva. That is Lord Shiva. In this category, only Lord Shiva is there, okay? Actually, Brahma Samhita explains that, not, yeah. Lord Shiva, see, like for example, Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu are like, practical purposes, they are very, similar, same. But what is the difference? Like, curd, you can make curd from milk, but not otherwise, right? So, Lord Shiva's origin is from Krishna, okay? And it is a very special category, okay? Like, and the fourth is Jiva Tattva, okay? And in this Jiva Tattva, you have animals, insects, human beings, asuras, gods, demigods, devatas, up to Lord Brahma. Okay. Even Lord Brahma is a Jiva Tattva. Jiva Tattva means we have an external gross body, which is temporary, and a spirit soul. Okay. We'll try to understand a little more about it. What does that mean? Like, you have Indra, you have Brahma, you have, Varuna. All these are posts. Like you have, uh, like for example, you have a prime minister. Prime minister is a post, right? After this prime minister goes, another person will come and occupy that post. Similarly, the present Brahma, when he retires, some other person will become Brahma, For example, if somebody does like 100 Ashwamedha Yagyas perfectly, he can become Indra. Okay. And if somebody lives 100 celestial years without any mistake, he can become Brahma. Okay. Like that. So we saw four tattvas, right? Like Vishnu tattva, Shakti tattva, Shambhu tattva, and Jiva tattva. All of us have had this question at some point, right? Is Krishna an incarnation of Vishnu or Vishnu an incarnation of Krishna? What do you think? Krishna is incarnation. Okay. We'll try to understand this concept a little clearly. Okay. These are different incarnations. Yeah. Okay. Which is your favorite incarnation? Apart from Krishna. Okay. Apart from Krishna. Narsimha. Okay. Rama. I know. Rama. 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 Rama is so popular. Nice. Hari Hari. Okay. Now, Yamuna will tell who is her favorite actor now. Actors? Okay. Yeah, tell us. No men. Women. Okay, no problem. Samantha. Tell few roles of Samantha. Which be? Teen. Tell me three. Anyhow you say. Huh? First movie. Okay. What was she in that movie? Banker. Okay. First movie, Samantha is a banker. Second movie, any. Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah, she was Shakuntala in another movie and another movie. Huh. Huh. What is she in that? Spy kind of. So she's been a banker. So Samantha was a banker in a movie. She was like a spy in another movie and Shakuntala in another movie, right? So basically, normally what is an, here I put Amitabh Bachchan, whatever it is. Okay, next time we can use Samantha's picture. Huh? Not really. I'm also not fan of any actors as such. But anyways, so the point is, we see them playing different roles in different movies, right? But does that mean they're a different person? They're the same person, right? So how do we understand this in concept of Vishnu and Krishna? Vishnu is somebody at office. Okay. How do you go to office? Suit boot pehan ke, with all your files and serious aspect of yours, and then you're not doing mazak masti and all when you're in like office, right? Like you're like totally okay, except for interval. Will not consider that. Normally, how is a person in office? Normally serious, right? Do you see him like, like do you see Vishnu doing, stealing activity? Troubling his friends, troubling his parents, and then he's like, with the gopis, some kind of, other things are happening, and like, or he's troubling them. No, right? You'll not even, everything in Vishnu is so regulated. Like, you won't even see him smiling more than a little, very, very formal. That's how you are in office. Like, if you see, say, you take like, the president of the country. In office, he's one person. But if you go to his home, he can be in shorts and t-shirt and playing with his kid and all. But he's that at home. Similarly, Vishnu is at office. Krishna is somebody who's in Vrindavan at home. Krishna is in Vrindavan at home. Okay. So at home, he is like stealing makhan also, and he's playing with his friends also, and his friends are fighting with him also. Everything can happen. Okay, but that cannot happen in office. Okay, but does that mean they are different? They're the same people. Okay, so Vishnu and Krishna, they're same. Okay. There are many more details to this, but I won't go there. But we'll try to understand, some of the concepts in this line. Here in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानमधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम्. Whenever and wherever there is decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. This is Krishna's saying, right? So we'll try to understand a little. This is like briefly, I'll tell here, but in the future, classes, there'll be much more details on this topic which will be explained. Okay. So we are seeing Krishna here. The first is Krishna. The first expansion of Krishna is Balaram. Okay. And from Balaram, we see something called VSPA. That is Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, and Arigata. Okay. And from Sankarshana, you have expansion of Narayana. Okay. And from that Narayana, you have secondary Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. Okay. And from this secondary Sankarshana, appearance of Mahavishnu happens. Okay. And from this Mahavishnu, there is Garbhodakshay Vishnu. And from this Garbhodakshay Vishnu, there is Kshirodakshay Vishnu or the Paramatma here. Okay. And from this Paramatma, or the Kshirodakshay Vishnu, you have the whole material creation and the Devatas. Okay, coming from this. This is like very briefly. Keep your questions. I'll address all of it after this. Okay. So this is for a brief understanding. Okay. थोड़ा जा रहा है, अंदर जा रहा है, बाहर जा रहा है, ऊपर जा रहा है, सब अंदर जा रहा है. Okay. So how do you understand? Of companies. Who is this? He's CEO of some company. Which company? Tesla? Okay. Tesla has different departments. Yeah. Like what does it work on? Electric vehicles. Okay. So it will need what departments? It will need first is what? Sales. Yeah, sales is end. Finance. Huh? First is R&D. They need first, before modeling, they need an R&D. Yeah. Then some procurement of some smart parts or something. Then engineering. Yeah. Yeah. Then production, marketing, administration. So there are very, different departments which are required to run a company, right? And every department will be headed by somebody. Yes. That is understandable. Okay. Here, now if we say Krishna is the CEO of this so-called universe, okay, what happens to the other devatas? We'll try to understand where do they fall. Okay. Like we have Indra taking care of the rains. He's the head of that department. Okay. We'll come to that. So for light, we have Surya. Then for heat, we have Agni. For water, we have Varuna. Okay. For vegetation, we have Chandra. Why vegetation like that? It is said that, the vegetables get the taste from the moon. Okay. So you have air, Vayu. Then you have finance department handled by Lakshmi Devi. Very popular she is. And treasury, which is handled by Kubera. Then you have the defense handled by Durga Devi. Yeah. And you have the commander of the Devatas, that is Kartikeya. Okay. Then you have education, Saraswati. Then you have placement officer. Why is Yamaraja called placement? Okay, why is Yamaraja called placement officer? Exactly. After each life, somehow where will be your next life and how will you go? Yamaraja is taking note of it, right? Like, will you go to first hell and then other places, or will you not go to hell? That is, handled by Yamaraja, right? Huh? Accesses our karmas. Yeah, first he'll see your notebook. कहाँ क्या क्या किया है. Then which hell to send or which place to send. He will evaluate and then send. So he is the placement officer. So we should be in good terms with your constructionist Brahma. Okay. Now we saw, the placement of the devatas and about the Supreme Lord, right? Like, what is the difference, like between the devatas and the Lord? Between Krishna and so many devatas, what is the difference? Krishna is only one. There are many devatas. Okay. Technically, 33 crores. You know? We know few of them. We'll come to that. What is this second one? You should remember, I will ask these questions. First is the differences. Okay. One is one and many. Okay. So, if Krishna is the CEO of the universe, is his position going to change? No. He is going to remain the CEO of the universe throughout, eternally. But if I say, can the post of Brahma change? I mean, like present Brahma change? He can change. Can present Indra change? He can change. You can also become Indra for that matter. I just told you how to. You perform 100 Ashwamedhas Yagyas perfectly, you can become Indra. Right? That is a temporary post. Okay. And his residence. Krishna's residence is what? Bangalore. Himani says Bangalore. No. It is Radha Vinod's residences, ICC temple only. Okay. What is Krishna's permanent residence? Golok Vrindavan? Yeah? Pakka? Are you sure? Okay. And what about this Swargaloka? There's so many devatas residing there, right? And there are so many Swargas also. We'll try to see, the 14 planetary systems and all in the later session, possible. But is that residence of theirs permanent? No. How long does it exist? How long does it exist? Okay, till then, maybe this Swargaloka exists. But till then, till those devatas also exist? Not sure. Because it depends on that particular person's post. उनका retirement कब तक है पता नहीं sort of thing, right? Like, so depends on that. Okay. Now the point is, now what is this activity of the devatas and here? CEO of the company, he's telling 100 people what to do and he's sitting and, just monitoring or not doing anything, right? But every department, they are very busy, okay? You can't go tell ki, matlab, oh, they have free time and they are not doing some color work. They are like really like working hard. So they have the administrative duties to perform. Okay. Okay. So another thing, there is some pop-up here. Mhm. Okay. We'll try to understand a little further. Okay. We were talking about how Vyasdeva compiled the whole Vedic scriptures and all that. In that, So you see Ganesha here, right? What happened was, like, when Vyasdev thought he has to compile all the way, various scriptures, like basically when he wanted to write Mahabharata, he thought, I need some scribe, okay, somebody who can write it. Like when I say I need somebody who can write it, okay. And then, this Lord Ganesha's name was suggested. Why? Because he's very intelligent, very sharp, very fast in writing. So when Vyasadeva approaches Lord Ganesha, and then, Ganesha says, I will write, I accept, but on one condition, saying that you have to, tell it continuously without stopping. If you stop, then, I'll go away. Okay. I will stop then and there my activity and move. Vyasadeva says, okay, but he gives, conditions. What is Vyasadev's condition to Ganesha? He says, whatever I say, you should first hear, understand, accept, and then write. Okay. Hear, accept, understand and accept, and then write. Okay. So Lord Ganesha says, fine. And because Vyasadeva is telling, and then Ganesha is, processing, and that's why you will see there are some riddles also in Mahabharata, like so that Vyasadeva put some riddles in between so that Lord Ganesha takes a little time to process it. Okay. If we have time, we'll discuss some riddles at the end. Okay. You can ask me post. But yeah, the thing is, because Ganesha is like very sharp and like very intelligent, so he hears the entire Mahabharata, then he writes it, right? Like when Vyasdev is telling, he's writing it. And we also discussed that Bhagavad Gita is a part of Mahabharata. That means whatever Krishna spoke to Arjuna, and we saw that in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has told that he is Bhagavan, right? And Lord Ganesha just heard it, understood it, accepted it, and then wrote it. That means Lord Ganesha accepts Krishna's supremacy, right? So, like, for example, Lord Shiva. Once, Lord Shiva is having conversation with Parvati Devi, because, he's meditating and chanting something every time. Parvati Devi is curious that, so many, jivas are worshipping you. Whom are you meditating on? Like, she's very curious. And then, Lord Shiva reveals that, it is Lord Rama's name that I am, chanting and meditating. Normally, you see that in Kashi, it is said that anybody who leaves, body in Kashi, they get moksha, right? Like we have heard this very common. Why? Because it is said that anybody who leaves body in Kashi, Lord Vishwanath comes and chants the name of Lord Rama in that, that he was here. So everybody gets moksha in Kashi. Like that. Yeah. Okay. There's another difference we were talking about. It's like in terms of body among the demigods and the Supreme Lord. Supreme Lord has only spiritual body. We discussed, right? Whereas up to Lord Brahma, externally they have a temporary gross body, and internally they all have a spirit soul, right? Now you see this shooting star sort of thing. Why is it? Why there is some representation to this? Okay, it is said that whenever the demigods or like the devatas, they finish their time, unka, that their time in Swarga is over, they are being pushed back to the earth. That's when you can see them as shooting star. Okay. So the Devatas and the Supreme Lord. Okay, Devatas have a very distinct feature. Okay, it's not like human beings. The four very distinct features of the Devatas. One is their eyes don't blink. If you go around and see somebody not blinking their eyes at all, you can think maybe some Devata. Who knows? Okay. Another is like when they walk 1 inch above the ground. They're not touching. Okay. Another is they're wearing a garland which never fades. Okay. And their body is very, very effulgent. These are like very distinct features of the Devatas. But as their expiry date comes near, then these features also starts to fade away. Okay. Like that. So, except for Brahma, Brahma Loka, Satya Loka, they go from there to Vaikuntha, but all the demigods, more or less, they come back to the on earth. They're sent back here, of course, with a better high birth and like an opportunity to practice devotional service, and then they go to Vaikuntha or like that. But this is position in Swarga or higher planetary systems is temporary, basically. So, what is the difference between worshipping Krishna or the Supreme Lord or Vishnu or like the incarnations of Vishnu and other devatas. Normally, you would have seen, like we have discussed, right? Like people have so many desires and they go to devatas and they ask for like some benediction, right? So normally they're like going and asking. That is the mood most of the times. Not all of them. Mainly, they go to devatas to ask something. Most of the devotees of Krishna, you'll see that, they have like loving relationship. It's not mostly, in terms of exchange offer sort of thing. Another is when you go to see, you go to Devata and worship for wants. And for Krishna, you'll see it is for needs. I'll explain this. For example, if you go to pray to some Devata and if you're doing some Vrata, that Devata is obliged to give you that phala. Okay. But if you go to Krishna and worship the same thing, he will give you only if it is good for you. He will not give you otherwise. Example, Hiranyakashipu goes and meditates to Brahma. Yeah. When he was meditating to Brahma, he does a very, very severe tapasya, right? Brahma knows what is the intention of Hiranyakashipu, no? But still he is bound to give him benediction, which is destructive, right? He will not say no, right? He gives. But if somebody goes to Krishna, even with material desires, Krishna purifies their desires. Example, Dhruva, we know that little boy Dhruva who prays to Lord Vishnu. Okay, if you don't know the story, we can narrate it. But there is this little boy Dhruva, around 5 years old. He goes to the forest to pray to Lord Vishnu because he is insulted by his stepmother and he wants like a kingdom greater than his grandfather. That is why he goes and prays to Vishnu. Initially, he wants this material desire only, but the end of when he sees Vishnu, his desire is gone. He doesn't want it anymore. Okay, his desire is purified. Of course, Krishna blesses him with Dhruva Loka and all, but then the desire is purified. Okay, here, for example, I have 100 rupees. The child has 100 rupees. He goes to the shopkeeper. I want 100 chocolates, the toffees. He'll give it to them. But if the child goes and asks the mother, I need 100 chocolates, will the mother give? You will get cavity. You can't eat so many chocolates. It's not allowed for you. Maybe one here, right? So that is the difference between Devata worship and Krishna worship. Krishna will give what is needed. He will not give you all that you want. Okay. And the Devatas, they are bound to give. Okay. And whatever the devatas are giving, no, they're material benedictions, no. So that is temporary. Okay. But when Krishna blesses, it is because our relationship with Krishna is eternal. So that whatever he is blessing also is eternal. So how many devatas we have? 33 crores. What if I want to worship all of them? Huh? Chalo, I decide today why to displease any devata. I don't want to displease anybody, okay? I want to worship every devata. So how, पहले तो, I have only 24 hours. ठीक है? Before that, okay. And then, you'll have to worship like this 3,819 per second. You'll have to worship them. Another thing is, first is to worship somebody, you should know who exists. Do we know how many devatas exist? We know 33 crore. Apart from 30, 40, we don't even know the names. Do you know, like when we blink our eyes, there is a devata controlling this activity. Okay? For example, we have to, pass evacuation of our system. There is a devata controlling that activity also. Imagine that devata is angry with you. Constipation. Looks like this, Western people are, upsetting the devata too much. So many constipation problems they have, right? Now you know how difficult it is. So even if I think I want to worship all of them, first of all, I don't know how to worship. Another is I don't know who are they. And it's not even just that I don't know who are they. And every devata has a different form of worship. Like, they like some different flower, they like different, leaf. No, some different procedure are there. Like, for example, I can offer Bilpatre to Lord Shiva. But for to Lord Ganesha, what will I offer? Durva. But I will not go offer Bilpatre to Ganesha, no? No, it is different, right? So we might not be pleasing them, na? I will give you gift which you don't like. What will happen to you? What will be your reaction? Will you be very happy with me? No, na. Simple. So basically, it is impossible that we can satisfy all of them, right? Like even with the worship form, it is different. We just discussed, right? And because it is so complicated and it is so different, and we have limited time, and then to please everybody requires a different way to do it, then what is the next alternative? What can we do? We can worship Krishna. Good. But why? Because at the end of the day, it's very big. So I think that's why we can just directly. It's easy. Sneha's very simple answer. It's easy. Chalo Krishna is pleased with just chanting his name. Chalo Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay. So if I don't want to displease anybody, and if I want to keep all devatas in, in a mood that they're happy with me and not like, angry at me and troubling me for some activity. So what do? I can water the root. For example, if I have a plant, I want to nourish the whole plant. If I try watering one leaf, another leaf, third leaf, one twig, another twig, one stem, another stem, one branch, another branch, I have to do so much. But if I just, water the root, the entire plant is nourished. Yes. Similarly, when we worship Krishna, we are nourishing the entire gamut of the devatas. In the sense, everybody is happy. Because why are everybody happy? Because everybody is getting nourished. Like, when you chant the holy name, like when you're chanting and pleasing Krishna, when Krishna is happy, because he is the source and he stays as Paramatma in each and every living entity. When he is happy, everyone else is also happy. Okay. So for the most practical proposal of, keeping all the devatas in loop and, pleasing all of them is worshipping Krishna or like watering the root. Okay, this comes to the end of our class or session. So what did we discuss today? Now you will talk and I will not talk. And if you yeah, I think there is mistake. Yeah, it is 4. Yeah. Yeah, what did we learn today? Everybody will tell one point. Okay, we'll close and then we can take questions. And Matajis are waiting. Maybe some activity they want to do. I don't even. Slowly we can do anything. Correct. Yes, now we will do. In today's class, what did we learn, Sakshi? Yeah. Like basically we learned that why we should worship like Krishna and demigods and all the differences. Okay. Also like why we should accept Krishna to be. Okay. Learn that why we have total scriptures if there is only one God. Because people who don't know much about Krishna, they need a level set of understanding that how Krishna will be it. Then people who are actually educated, so Bhagavatam or Srimad Bhagavad Gita was taught to someone
already very educated. So it has essence of every other religion and also a lot more than. Okay. Krishna is the supreme soul and all other demigods and also Brahmanism and worshipping it with the reject. Okay. I think they can do this. Yes, yes. Rajashri. You have to know why the certain demigods everyone exists and they will be pleased. And then about the qualities of Krishna and our qualities and demigods of it. Yes. And we learned about the difference between God and demigods and about the four platforms. Four platforms. Okay. We learned about the difference between the worship of Krishna and demigods. Like Krishna will give you what we need, but when we are gods, when we have desires, we can go to demigods and they'll fulfill it if it's even if it's not good for us. Okay. Yes, Mataji, you all want to share something? Yes, even though like I've heard before, there are so many things which was this championship about how we should attract things and how we use the same and everyone just by praising him, others will be praised. Yes, Himani Mataji. And that is basically yeah, we don't want to meet Yamaraj. How many of you want to meet Yamaraj? I don't want to meet. He has bad, like very, scary punishments. Okay. Remind me, I'll tell you one story on Yamaraj. Yeah. 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 Yeah, yeah. It is that is so true that we are so fortunate to have got this knowledge from Srila Prabhupada and so many devotees who have been you know uh, like so kind to us to give this to us because it is very rare. Like look at how many people are there in this entire world, like 7 billion or more. But how many are practicing something called bhakti yoga or in contact with coming in contact with Krishna or like, Bhagavad Gita. Very, very few, right? And in that, we have got an institution which is teaching us the right understanding of it. Because there are hundreds of commentaries on Bhagavad Gita outside, but they don't understand what is that concept of devotion to Krishna, right? Like sometimes, even when the scripture is there and everything is there, if you don't know how to receive it, then we'll not. Like, like in even in the Bhagavad Gita, if it is said that if you don't have firm faith, then you'll not get the right understanding of it. So how Arjuna understood Bhagavad Gita, we should understand like that. We should be that kind of student like Arjuna is when Krishna is speaking the Bhagavad Gita, right? Like when did Krishna speak to Arjuna? When he was totally surrendered, right? So when we surrender to the Lord, and then when we hear him through, of course, his representatives, acharyas in the line disciplic succession, then we will receive the message in the right spirit and then we can assimilate it, accept it, right? Okay, I'll stop here. You can ask any questions if you have, and I'll tell that Yamaraj story also. Yeah. You told Hanuman Jyoti. I wanted to this. Yeah, Vasudeva, Sankarshana, and Aniruddha. Pradyumna. Yeah. Brahmajyoti, yeah, Brahmajyoti is like we gave the example of sun and sunshine, right? So sunshine is one aspect of the sun. Similarly, the body of Krishna, the effulgence coming from it is the Brahmajyoti. Okay. And there are many Jnana yogis who aspire to merge into the Supreme Brahman. They say, the Lord is Brahman, there is Brahma Jyoti, we want to merge into it. When you merge into it, then, you'll get liberated. That That is like when people, some of the Jnana yogis, they aspire for that kind of liberation, the Brahmajyoti liberation. But actually, it is said that even when somebody goes and merges into the Brahmajyoti, there is chance that they can fall down from there. But if you go back to the Vaikuntha Lokas or to Goloka, then you'll not fall down from there. Is there anything? That's fine. Yeah. Anything else? Yeah. What's what? Yeah, yeah. Huh. Yes. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So what you know that they also have memory of their life. That is very subjective in the sense like will everybody get the same life also is not, but most of them, when their time in the Svargaloka is expired, when they fall down, they get like a very high birth, like the birth maybe of a devotees, maybe opulent also, materially wealthy also, like that, which is very conducive that they can do practices so that they can go back like that. How much it again depends. Memory wise, I have not read anywhere about if they remember how much they remember. At least if I come across, I'll let you know. Okay, with this, it is said that nobody dies in Svarga. Okay? Why? Tell why. We discussed. But why? Exactly. They'll be kicked out. They would die in Swarga. There is a hospital in Mumbai. It says that nobody dies in this hospital. Why? Because when they're about to die, they will be, sent to some other hospital. That's why. Nobody dies in this hospital. That hospital is advertised like that. How smart people are, no? It's like Swarga. Nobody dies in Swarga like that. Okay, any other question? No, like yeah. We have the whole yeah. Love. Huh. That how we can love God. How we can love God. We can just follow the process Prabhupada has given us. Bhakti Yoga is all about love. Because in every other aspect, it's not like we don't have other aspects to it. But pure devotional service is all about love. Of course, there is like when you are doing, karma yoga, you can associate bhakti to it. But pure devotional service is just only love. We can discuss in detail if you want. Yeah. Anything else? Any other question? Yeah. Should we start this? Yeah, it is. Yeah, science and yeah. See, science also says there's a Big Bang theory from which everything originated. But how can something come from a Big Bang theory? Matlab, pataka jala ke dekho that something comes out of it. Meaning to say, see, there are many aspects to which science and Vedic scriptures might not agree at this point of time, because science is, today's science is not something which has stood the test of time. At one point of time, we were talking about Lamarck's theory. Now you talk about Lamarck's theory, it looks stupid for us. What was Lamarck's theory? If I'm using my left hand for a very long time, then probably my next generation or something, my left hand will become longer. You know? Example, giraffe. Giraffe's neck is very long because maybe that ancestors tried to eat, trees from the plant like that. So that is why that giraffe has a long neck. That was Lamarck's theory. But if we think about it, do we accept it? Doesn't look, very. Meaning to say, at some point of time, some scientists might have experimented, but all scientific experiments have not stood the test of time as of now. Like some of them might be like, theories have like validated, like some theories, of course you can prove them and everything like that, and it is true, but not all the theories have been true, because like what Krishna has spoken 5,000 years ago and today, you check, it will work the same way. It is not that today we have to change Bhagavad Gita because it doesn't work today. It doesn't happen like that. So Vedic scriptures have stood the time, the test of time. Bhagavad Gita has stood the test of time. Scientific theories, because we were talking, Mataji was talking about, the imperfections we have. Like I cannot see the microbes here because I don't have a microscope. But the microbes exist. It exists on this laptop. It exists in my hands. It exists, right? Like the dog can hear a sound frequency which I cannot hear because it has a higher hearing frequency range, right? That because I don't hear, does that mean there are no sounds below and my hearing? No, right? Why? Because there is limitation to my senses. Similarly, even in science, there is limitation as of now because still he's not figured out everything, right? Like, for example, they come up with this test tube babies or like, this thing. But it has worked sometime, it has not worked sometime. How? They think, they can produce life. Life is not produced. There is, externally. But there is a procedure to it. Like, 100 times you do a test tube baby and then, there is a sperm and this thing. And Krishna might sanction one time, chalo, they it has. Some successful stories happening like that. Okay, anything else?
The evidence that chief theory was not as much as an example. Einstein's theory was more, it has more details of that.
Yeah.
And ours classical space and when you go.
Yeah, deeper. Yes. Normally it is like that because, at that point of time, they have done some experiments, they have got some results. So their theory is based on that much study of theirs, right? Like we are not denying that, it is right, wrong. Of course, you have to test, right? If it is right or wrong in every situation. That's how it is. Okay. Anything else? Let's stop here. Thank you very much. Okay, there's any other questions online? Yeah.
No. First of all, I'd like to thank Shiklan Mataji for an amazing session. A quick intro about Shiklan Mataji. Her Karmi name is Sheetal Jian and she has done her engineering BE in electronics and communication. Am I right?
Yes.
And she has worked in project management and quality analysis also. And she has been associated with this temple from so long, almost a decade. Yeah, and she is associated with Iskcon Raichur also, which is her native place. And she's mainly doing services related to youth, girls, online, many more. Okay, let us all chant one round of Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I think online, if there are no questions, we can end the meeting. Thank you so much, everyone who joined online and offline.